Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Thirst, a Korean horror-drama-romance hybrid from 2009 that stars Kang-ho and Kim-ok-bin. It was directed by Park Chan-wook. A Catholic priest volunteers at a hospital, providing ministry to the patients. He is well respected for his unwavering faith and dedicated service, but he secretly suffers from feelings of doubt and sadness. He volunteers to participate in an experiment to find a vaccine for a deadly virus. Although the experiment fails, and he is infected with the seemingly fatal disease, he makes a complete and rapid recovery after receiving a blood transfusion. News of his marvelous recovery quickly spreads among the devout parishioners of his congregation, and they begin to believe that he has a miraculous gift for healing. But he soon finds himself attracted to the wife of an old friend, then later relapses into his illness and wakes in dire need of shelter from the sunlight, having become a vampire. So yes, Thirst is certainly a genre bender, which is always welcome, and it's quite different from a typical vampire movie and has some refreshing attributes to it. The script kind of follows suit. It's kind of a jack of all trades, touches upon a variety of things. However, that actually leads to what is probably my biggest criticism of this movie. I think the story and the characters in this are good, but seem to be lacking a little bit in depth. You know, we have a lot of things going on here, but none of them individually feel like exceptionally interesting from a script writing standpoint. Not a huge problem, given the fact that this movie seems to focus more on character interaction anyways. But, I mean, all of Park Chan-wook's prior films to this did a slightly better job, I think, at tapping into the most interesting elements they were exploring. You know, I felt intoxicated on a minute-by-minute basis while watching his prior films. And perhaps that's the problem. You know, I'm comparing Thirst to, Joint Security Area, the Vengeance Trilogy, and I'm a Cyborg, but that's okay. And Park was on kind of a scorching hot streak in terms of, directing home run titles. So it's probably not fair to compare. But I'm going to be real with you. I do not think that Thirst is quite on the same level as those other titles. And to be honest, I think all of Park's post-cyborg movies had a slightly less interesting and dynamic quality to them. They're all very good quality. With the exception of Stoker, which I thought kind of sucked. But these films don't really excite me quite as much as his earlier stuff. But it is nice to see him continue to make solid films, and Thirst certainly is a solid movie. Now, to no one's surprise, the direction's very good. And the performance by Kang-ho is solid, really good in the lead role. But Kim-ok-bin provides the standout performance that solidified her as one of the most talented actresses in South Korea. And that's a bold statement considering that country's deep pool of acting talent. And this is perhaps her career-defining performance, at least in my eyes. If you're cast alongside Kang-ho, and you legitimately steal the film from him, just with your performance alone, you just steal a show, that's pretty career-defining, especially when you're a younger actor. And she is just outstanding in this. And to this day, I still think Whispering Corridors 4 is her best overall movie, but the first time I remember her kind of stealing the show was in this, quirky comedy, Dasipo Naughty Girls, and I do have a review of that on my channel. Check that one out if you like this actress. It's a very, very odd film, but she was great in it. And she's been in some good stuff subsequent to Thirst, but she never seems to get enough screen time in some of the movies that she's in. And, she has had some highlights. She got an acting award for some of the K-dramas she's been in, and she was nicely showcased in The Villainess a handful of years ago, but I still think she needs more juicy film roles. She tends to, disappear for stretches of time in the cinema landscape of South Korea, which is a little disappointing, because I really like her as an actress, and her performance in Thirst is, a real treat. Now, my favorite section of the film specifically is the final 40 or so minutes. They're the most entertaining, because, Kim Ukbin's character just gleefully dominates the proceedings as the story begins to shift more, more convincingly towards horror. It starts to focus a little bit more on the horror genre. And a lot of fun, quirky stuff down the stretch. There's a nice infusion of black comedy in this for sure. And this movie finishes, I think, stronger than it starts, and that's a good thing. Even some of the earlier sections have some good moments in it for sure. But the third act, in my opinion, is like just pure entertainment. It's like really good. And so I think the movie is just good, solid quality. It's got good characters, good interaction. But there's certain parts, like in the first 2/3 of the film, where it's not hitting on all cylinders like it does near the end. Another thing to keep in mind if you haven't seen this is that it is sexually charged at times, which, given the director, that's no surprise. So there are a few sultry lovemaking scenes in it. So if you don't want your kids to be watching this, keep them out of the room. So just keep that in mind. But I think overall, I definitely recommend Thirst. It's a good flick, very good flick actually, in my opinion. But it is, I think, a tier below the director's very best titles. That's okay. It's a movie I own and will watch again in the future. Now, it's currently available streaming, pretty easy to find. It's on YouTube, actually. And it's also on physical media if you'd like to add it to your collection. And let me know in the comments section where you rank this movie in the director's filmography. Because I do hear people give reasons why they might think, like, The Handmaiden is one of his best films, even though I feel like it's on the same level as, like, a Thirst, in my opinion. It would be interesting to see if anybody has Thirst as their number one or where it ranks. So give me your Park Chan-wook filmography rankings below. It would be interesting to see. And as always, I'll see you next time.